What's up, you guys? It's your girl LT here, Child-Free Black woman. Thank you so much for joining me today. And today I have a very special child-free interview. I have Miss Danielle McKnight. She is all the way from Los Angeles, California. She is an entrepreneur, she is a tattoo artist, and she's also been featured on the show Ink Masters. How I heard about Danielle is that I think there was something on Instagram that she had either she posted or it was something that was posted on Instagram and she had commented on it that she was child free. And then I saw her Instagram, like, okay, well, another child free Black woman, let me hit her up. I sent her a message asking her to be featured on my channel, and luckily she said yes. And we have her on here today. So Danielle, thank you so much for joining us today.
Of course, thank you for having me.
Okay, well, first off, as a child free Black woman, how has life been for you? Like overall?
Amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely amazing. Um, I got my free time. I don't have to take care of anybody else. I don't have to, there's no finding a babysitter, to be able to go and do things. I do things at my leisure. There's no checking in with anybody. There's no, worrying about anybody or, even just being responsible for another human being. So it's been very stress-free in that way, I guess.
Absolutely. So, was there any major reason why you opted out of parenthood? We'll get into more details about that, but what was your main focus or reason why you decided that you didn't want to have any children?
Um, it just never appealed to me. Even from a very young age, like as a little kid, I'm like, I'm not having no kids. Like, and
Mm-hmm.
your parents are always like, you're little, you don't know anything. And it's like, I always knew that parenthood was not something that I saw in my future. And I haven't changed my mind. I think that a lot of people don't take into account what a big responsibility parenthood is.
Mm-hmm.
It's people like, oh, I want a baby, I have baby fever. And it's like, okay, well, that baby grows up to be an adult, that baby grows up to be a teenager. You're responsible for that person. And you're responsible for what they go on to do in the world. They monopolize your time, they cost money,
Mm-hmm.
and then pregnancy as a woman is a huge thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's a 9-month commitment, um, where your body doesn't even belong to you anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So none of those things were appealing to me.
Oh, absolutely. Do you think your childhood experiences or your parents' actions influenced your decision as well?
No, I don't think so. I had a relatively great childhood. I grew up in a, middle class family in the suburbs. And I don't think that my parents had anything to do with my decision to be child free. Being a mom never appealed to me. Like it just never was something that I saw in my future. And I have a lot of goals, even from a young age, I had so many things that I wanted to do. I wanted to explore the world. I wanted to be an artist. I wanted to be a writer. I wanted to influence people. And, with kids, it's hard to, not saying that people with children can't go on to accomplish great things. There's, a plethora of examples of people who are parents who are entrepreneurs and do great things and give back to their community and things of that nature. But um, I didn't want my dreams and aspirations to, possibly be dwarfed because of parenthood.
Okay. What's the most common reaction or comment that you get when people find out that you're child free?
Oh, you'll change your mind.
Yeah.
Oh, well, don't you want someone to carry on your legacy? Things of that. It's mostly like you'll change your mind or, oh, are you sure? Which is very dismissive, in assuming that I, as a almost 36-year-old woman, don't know what I want in life. So it's very off-putting, and it's disrespectful in a way of, you don't know my situation. I could be infertile. I could have had miscarriages.
Mm-hmm.
There could be any number of traumatic reasons
Mm-hmm.
as to why I don't or cannot have children. So I think that kind of response when someone tells you that they don't want children
Mm-hmm.
is very dismissive, disrespectful, and it's rude, you
Mm-hmm.
know.
Oh yeah, it sure is. It sure is. So, do you also have any child-free friends or relatives?
I do have child-free friends and relatives. My brother and his husband are child-free. They do not want kids.
Mhm.
My best friend is child-free, does not want any kids. I have cousins that are child-free. Um, and I definitely have quite a few friends that are child-free, and want to remain child-free. So within my immediate group of people that I spend time with, most of us, well, no, I won't say most, but a lot of us are child-free.
That's awesome. I know a lot of people who don't really have that type of community, who don't have a lot of close friends or even relatives that are child free. So I'm so thankful for this community because I feel that a lot of people can really connect, whether it's virtually or if you happen to, you know, meet somebody who's also in your same city, you guys can maybe hang out. But I just like the fact that being in this child free community is just it's wonderful to really connect with a lot of people who have the same kind of mindset as you when it comes to not having kids. So
Yeah.
do you think that people are aware that parenthood is a choice, or do you think that it's like the social norm that to do that, or it's just, you know, you think that maybe people who have family members who try to pressure them to having kids, like, do you think that they think that parenthood is a choice?
I think that a lot of people definitely let um, societal norms and familial expectations of them influence their decision on having children and creating a family because, you know, most of us grow up with the, oh, you know, you want to grow up, get married, have a house with a white picket fence, and have 2.5 kids, and, you know, with that idea of a nuclear family. And I think a lot of people think that's what you're supposed to do.
Mhm.
Um, while I do think that obviously people know that it's a choice, I think that a lot of people feel, especially when it comes to the abortion issue. I know that's like a hot topic, especially right now, because, you know, women have essentially had our bodily autonomy stripped from us. Um, I think that a lot of people, number one, too many people don't practice safe sex.
Mhm.
Um, Too many people look at the possibility of getting pregnant as, oh, it won't happen to me, or it's not a big deal, or I'll deal with it when it happens. And then when you find out you're pregnant, a lot of people may be like, oh, I can't get an abortion, it's against my religion, or it's against my morals, or what are people going to think of me if I get an abortion? So I think in that instance, some people might not feel like they have a choice, which is unfortunate, because now this child who didn't have a choice is being brought into a situation that they didn't ask to be brought into,
Mhm.
that the pregnant person may not be ready to handle as a responsibility. So that's not fair,
Mhm.
you know. So I think that some people in some instances might not think that they have a choice. I think that, you know, obviously people do realize that, hey, it's my choice if I want to start a family and stuff like that. But I think that there's so much pressure that's placed on people that in the end they might be like, oh, well, I gotta do this. Oh, well, my family, my, you know, parents want grandkids. Like, you know, I got to have a family to pass on the family name. And, you know, so I think that a lot of people might feel like it's their duty
Mhm.
to have children.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah, I think especially in the Black community, I don't know if you've personally experienced it in your family, but I know a lot of people definitely have the stress on us, especially as Black women, to produce, and especially if you see how maybe other people in your family have experienced childbirth or how they're going through possibly being a single parent or you know just going through a lot of stuff with their children. It's like, okay, why would I want to put myself through this type of stress when I see right now clearly clear as day in my face right now that you are definitely struggling with your child. So I definitely see that a lot in the Black community, especially in the Black churches, that they all want to have
yes.
us produce. I'm like, it's crazy. So
Yeah.
how do you feel or react when your loved ones announce that they're expecting?
It's so funny because when people tell me that or announce, like, oh, I'm pregnant, or, you know, I'll see friends or whatever on social media, like, oh, I'm pregnant. And I'm just like, oh, okay, congratulations. You know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
and I'll tell people, like, I'm not the kind of person to congratulate you on GP.
Mhm.
If I feel like you got pregnant for the wrong reasons, like you trying to keep a man, I will not congratulate you on your pregnancy. If I feel like you have no business having a child because you don't even have your stuff together, I will not congratulate you for being pregnant. I won't shame you, but I won't. I don't. This is going to sound really. This is going to sound kind of bad, but I don't congratulate people for poor decision making.
Mhm.
Now, I know that people are like, oh, well, the child is a blessing and da da da. But now when you're financially strained and you can't even take care of yourself,
Mhm.
now you're bringing a child into the world that didn't ask to be here, that you can't take care of, that might not have the life that it should be able to have because you were ill prepared, or you're just in a bad situation yourself. So depending on who the person is, what the situation is,
Mhm.
sometimes I'll be like, oh my God, I can't believe that, you did that, because, I know where your life's at and I don't think that you should be having a child. But then also, even if people are, married, happy, they've got a good job, they, have a sound relationship, they, I know they're going to bring a kid into a loving home. My, my reaction is always kind of like, why would you want to do that on purpose? You know what
Mhm.
why?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Um, Me and my brother and his husband actually just had that conversation the other day because we were out and these people came in with their kids and they were running around screaming, and we all just looked and kind of simultaneously were like, why? Like, that doesn't even seem appealing. Like,
Mhm.
and like I said, and this is not to any way shame parents or shame people who have children, no matter um what stage you were at in life when you know were pregnant or had your children. That's not to shame people who are parents at all.
Mhm.
um if you, as long as as long as you love your kids and you're providing for them to the best of your ability, um then good for you. But it's not for me.
Absolutely. Yeah. And parenthood ain't for everybody, but at least, like I said, we're the type of people that we know it's not for us. Like,
Yeah,
parenthood is something that sometimes it's not, you don't know it's not for you until you really experience it. But it's like we see other people experiencing this stuff, and it's like, no, thank you. No, thanks.
exactly, not at all.
Are you worried about I'm sorry, are you worried you might regret your decision one day?
Not at all. Not in the slightest.
Yeah.
um I always said that if I ever did decide to have a child, I would probably adopt anyway.
Hmm.
Um, just because there's so many kids in the foster care system. Um, and if I could help one child, if I ever decided to make that decision, I would rather do that than reproduce myself, especially, we're overpopulated.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah.
but I have no worries about regretting to remain child free throughout my life.
Okay. Okay. Um, can you define parenthood in one word?
Undesirable.
Yes. Oh, I got plenty of words for parenthood. Absolutely. um, and do you think is it possible to be in a happy and fulfilling relationship without children?
Oh, most definitely. I see people do it every day.
Mhm.
I think, especially if you and that person obviously have that conversation beforehand, like, hey, look, I don't want children. I'm not sure what your family planning goals are, but obviously you want to make sure you're on the same page with your partner, if you enter into a relationship with somebody. But I think that um, your life can be beyond fulfilling without children. And I think that people who use children to make their life fulfilling, you've got to kind of sit down with yourself and ask yourself why you don't think that your life is fulfilling without children. Um, People are like, oh, well, don't you want to have a legacy? Don't you want to pass down? Don't you want your life to have meaning? I'm like, baby, my life has
Mhm.
so much meaning on its own. And if you feel like you need to bring, a life into the world for your life to have meaning, then I would encourage you to do some soul searching, because that's just like people who, you know, seek to find a partner to make their life, but like, oh, I want somebody so they can make me happy. Well, you got to make yourself happy first. If you
Mhm.
can't make you happy, what makes you think that you're going to be able to provide a life of happiness for somebody else, whether it's a child or a partner?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Do you think that you will be a good parent?
Oh, I would be a dope parent. I would be an amazing parent. And people have told me like, dude, you'd be a great mom, because even though I'm not a parent, I have a very mothering nature to me when it comes to the people that I care about. I'm very much like mama bear. I'm very protective over the people that I love. I very much, go out of my way to make sure people are okay. Even people I don't know, people on the street, like, my clients. I'm very like, my tattoo shop is like, I provide snacks. I got a little snack cart for everybody. I got a little coffee bar for everybody. I've got stuffed animals in case people are scared or it's their first tattoo and they need to hold a Care Bear. Like, you know what I mean? I'm very mothering by nature. So I think that that would carry on into parenthood if I decided to have a child. And I'm also very understanding in the way that a lot of parents might not be. I feel like our generation of parents lacked a little bit of emotional maturity and emotional awareness, especially in the Black community. It's a lot of tough love. It's a lot of, you're not depressed, you're not this, you're not that, you need to suck it up, pull yourself up by your bootstraps mentality. And I think that trauma, you know what I mean? Because it is traumatic to be told that your feelings aren't valid. We're starting to break those generational curses, and I would never want to pass that down to my kids. If my kid were feeling sad or, bullied or, I would, my first instinct would be to reassure them. And just instill in them that they matter, that they're loved, and that their dreams matter. And to just build the best person that I can build to be able to go out and face the world. So
absolutely. So I'm sure you've heard all the different stereotypes that child-free people have. So I'm sure you probably hear that all the time. So is there a certain child-free stereotype that you don't fit in? So like if people always say that child-free people are selfish, child-free people don't have any major responsibilities, or that okay, well, you don't know the love of a child and all that kind of stuff, or because you don't have a child, you may have a lot of animals or plants at home and things like that. So is there a certain child-free stereotype you think you don't fit in?
Well, I definitely fit into the cat lady stereotype, as you can see.
Is that your only one?
No, I have two. The other one's around here, so she's running around somewhere. But I have two black cats. So I definitely fit into the cat lady stereotype. I definitely fit into, I am selfish. I think more people should be selfish, because if you don't take care of this first, baby, your life is going to be in shambles. But I don't fit into the stereotype when people say, oh, you don't have any responsibilities. I'm a business owner. You know what I mean? I have a business to run. I've got, I'm responsible for my animals, obviously. I think that people's perception of what responsibilities are, is a little skewed. And I don't think I fit into the, stereotype of, oh, well, you're going to be lonely and you're not going to have anybody to take care of you. And, you're not going to have a legacy. Like, my legacy is passed on through the work that I do, through the people that I help, through the tattoos that I do that will be on people for the rest of their lives. Through the work that I do through my community outreach, through the work that I do for my nonprofit that I work with for mental health and suicide awareness. So I think that people have a narrow-minded view of what these things mean when they say things like that. So, I've definitely got responsibilities. I've definitely got a legacy that will live on when I'm no longer here. But I mean, like I said, there's definitely stereotypes of being child-free that I do fit into, which I don't mind.
Yeah. Well, prior to us recording today, I know we talked a little bit about your sobriety. So I know if you want to kind of go into a little bit more detail about that, about again, I think you had alcoholism, I
Yes.
believe. So yeah, so if you want
Mhm.
to kind of go into detail a little bit about that, like when did you get sober, and when was did anything traumatic happen to you to where it's like, yeah, I definitely need to change my ways, and we can definitely go into detail about that a little bit.
Yeah, I got sober May 19th of 2021, so I've been sober a little over 2 years now.
Mhm.
Um, and I started drinking in sorry, not hospital, high school. I started drinking in college, and at first I was like so against, like, I don't want to drink. Why do I need to drink to have fun? Like, alcohol's stupid. Like,
Mhm.
and then in college, living on campus, going to frat parties and stuff like that, you're introduced to alcohol. And I started drinking a lot, like right off the bat.
Mhm.
But I was always just like, like a party girl or whatever. And I go out a lot, but everybody around me drank a lot.
Mhm.
I'm from Rancho Cucamonga initially, which is like the suburbs, and there's nothing to do out there. So
Mhm.
everybody drinks. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like that
Mhm.
that was our fun. It's like, oh, we had a local bar that most of us were regulars at that we go to every day, and it was like our second family. Um, but it definitely started to become problematic in my late 20s.
Mhm.
Um, I was from my late 20s and on, it was problematic. Um, I was sexually assaulted in 2018. And after that, my drinking exacerbated wildly, um, because it was my coping mechanism. It
Mhm.
was how I numbed, it was how I forgot,
Mhm.
So I kind of fell into a bit of a pit of despair for a while and spiraled. And, I was able to regain um, a little bit of my normal life a while after that happened, but I was still drinking a lot. And 2020 was when I really realized that I had a problem.
Mhm.
Especially, a lot of people started drinking a lot during the pandemic.
Mhm.
Especially like, you're home all day,
Mhm.
there's nothing else to do. So
Mhm.
people are like, oh, well, let's get lit, you
Mhm.
know.
Mhm.
Um, so my drinking definitely went into overdrive during the pandemic, especially living by myself. And there were a few times where I was like, okay, I need to stop. I need to calm down. So there were times where I would pour out entire bottles of vodka into the sink and be like, okay, today's the day that I'm gonna tone it back.
Mhm.
And I would go a week without drinking or without drinking hard liquor, and then I would celebrate going a week without drinking by drinking.
Mhm.
So I'm like, okay, well, that's counterproductive. Um, so I tried and tried for a while, and then 2021, um, I just had a lot going on. I was extremely depressed.
Mhm.
I was extremely stressed out with work. Um, I had been dating somebody on and off that was just an extremely toxic person who was also an alcoholic, and
Mhm.
that was affecting my mental well-being.
Mhm.
Um, and then one day it was just something just broke in me mentally, and I tried to take my life because I was like, I can't do this anymore. Like, I cannot live like this anymore.
Mhm.
Um, and I tried to take my life, and obviously unsuccessful, thankfully. And my friend took me to the emergency room. I had essentially tried to give myself alcohol poisoning. I tried to just drink myself to death. And went to the emergency room, and the doctor's like, "Do you know what your blood alcohol level is?" And I was like, "Well, no." And it was 0.34.
Mhm.
Um, and he was like, "The fact that you're sitting here talking to me pretty normally, and you're coherent and you're lucid, is alarming, because by all intents and purposes, you have alcohol poisoning."
Mhm.
People start to lose consciousness and go into comas at this point.
Mhm.
People have started, their organs start to shut down. He's like, so the fact that you're just up and walking around and having a conversation with me is very alarming. And he was like, your liver levels are 30 times what they should be. They're supposed to be between 1 and 37. They are over 1,000. And he was like, if you keep drinking like that, you're gonna die. He's like, you're going to die. Um, so that was definitely an eye opener, because you can't see what's going on internally inside your body. You know, I can't see my liver. I didn't feel like I was really having problems, you know, pain, you know, or anything at that time. So you can't see what's going on internally. And at the time, my best friend who had taken me, she was on the phone with my brother, like, hey, your sister really needs help. She really needs help. So I think it was the next day or so after that, my family was like, we need you to go to rehab. And I was like, absolutely. And I had wanted to get help. I just didn't know how. I just didn't know where to start. I didn't know, you know, what channels to go through. I didn't know what resources to use. So when my family offered me the gift of rehab, I was like, absolutely. So I went to rehab for 30 days. And, you know, I was given antidepressants when I was in there, which I'm still currently on, and have changed my life immensely. You know, I go to therapy, biweekly. And my life has changed so much. I mean, I'm a different person. I'm a completely different person. I look back at pictures of me and I'm like, I really don't recognize that person. You know, it's wild, how drastically my life has changed. So I'm lucky that I was somebody who was essentially given a second chance at life. So sobriety is something that's very important to me. It's something that I plan on doing for the rest of my life. For a while, I was like, oh, I'll be sober for a year and then I'll have a drink or two, you know, and I honestly have no desire to drink whatsoever.
That's so awesome. So congratulations
Thank
on being
you.
there for over 2 years. That's so awesome. And
Thank
I think
you.
I think that's such a great benefit for being child free too, is that we're able to focus more on ourselves. And if there's anything that we need to correct, that we can go ahead. We have luckily we have the time and the energy to really put our needs first and what we need to do to, you know, to do it first for ourselves and make us better people.
Exactly.
So I'm just so thankful for that. So congratulations again for that.
Thank you.
So I know you mentioned earlier that you're an entrepreneur, and but have you ever experienced discrimination being child free in the workplace, maybe a previous employment, or have you seen anybody face discrimination for being child free?
I've worked essentially for myself for the last 15 years. I've been tattooing for 15 years. I've only had like 2 or 3 regular jobs. And that's when I was like 17, 18, 19. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And I worked at like PF Chang's and I worked at like American Eagle. So I was still a kid myself. You know what I mean? Essentially. So nobody was expecting me to have no kids. And then after that, I went straight into tattooing. So I can't recall a time that any of, you know, my coworkers or anything judged me for not having kids. Because being a tattoo artist is a very, I mean, you know, a lot of people that I worked with had kids, and a lot of tattooers have kids, but you know, we refer to ourselves kind of as mini rock stars because there is a lot of drinking, there's some drug use, there's a lot of partying, there's a lot of, you know, we have crazy schedules. So being child free in my industry is kind of expected because our schedules are so wild and you doing a lot usually in the first, you know, half of your tattooing career. So being child free is not abnormal in the tattoo industry at all. But I can't recall a time that I've ever seen someone else who might have had a more conventional job. I can't recall ever hearing of anybody being discriminated against. I mean, I feel like as women in the workplace, in the normal workplace, if you don't have kids and you're not married, they kind of look at you as like, oh, girl, you better get on now, your biological clock ticking. Or, oh, you're going to be alone. You're going to be a single cat lady. You're going to be miserable for the rest of your life. Like, you know what I mean? So it's definitely people probably talk around the water cooler about single childless women for sure. In the traditional workplace, I'm sure it happens. But you know, child-free single women are also the happiest subset of people in America. So,
Oh yeah, especially in this day and age, absolutely.
Oh yeah.
Do you actively encourage people, the people around you, to think about their reproductive choices?
Most definitely. You know, I think I mentioned before, I feel like people take pregnancy and parenthood too lightly. there's just so much, like, I mean, you witnessed it and oh my God, I'm so tired of seeing these people on all of my For You page timelines, but like the Krayshawn,
Oh yes. Oh yes.
no business having a baby,
Mm-hmm.
no business having a baby. And you see that so much, especially in Black and brown communities, is we just be popping out babies left and right in jacked up situations, like with no business having a child, let alone multiple children, by people who definitely don't give a damn about you and probably won't give a damn about that baby. You know what I mean? So it's just, I think that people take childhood way too lightly. A baby's not a plaything that you can play with for a little bit and put in the corner when you're tired of it. That is a lifelong responsibility. That is a human being that you are responsible for the rest of their life, not just when they turn 18, not when they turn 25, not when they turn 40. You know what I mean? Like, I still call my mama sometimes, Mom, I don't feel good. Like, you know what I mean? Or, you know, my mom, you know, helped me here and there with my business. You know what I mean? So it's like, you still have an obligation as a parent, even later in life. So I think people just have kids and treat children as an accessory.
They really
you know
do.
what I mean? And it's sad, because it's sad for that child, because that child is not going to have a life of quality. So I think that people are just very you know, nonchalant and irresponsible when it comes to just having kids willy-nilly and not even like making conscious decisions about parenthood, you know. And it's very sad to see, because I think that it just so adversely affects our communities as Black people, you know, because we're expected to almost have multiple baby daddies and to have a bunch of kids running around that aren't taken care of, and to be you know, impoverished, and to not amount to anything. And I just wish that I could go around and shake people and be like, you could do so much more with life. You could be so much more in life. Like, this doesn't have to be, you know, you don't have to be a statistic. You know what I mean? And like I said, that's not to shame people who have children. That's not to shame parents. That's not to do any of that. But when you're having kids, when you're not ready and you don't have any resources, you know, you're falling victim to being one of those statistics. And it's very, very sad, because that's what certain people want for us, is to not realize our potential and to be held back by our situation. So it's very important when people aren't responsible about sex, you know, and reproduction. So I think that, and I think that people too also have a misconception that if you like, oh, we don't want to be talking to these kids about sex. They don't need to be learning about sex. No, you need to be talking to your kids about sex. Sex education needs to be a priority, because trying to sweep the issue under the rug isn't going to help anything, because then these kids are going to learn about sex from their little friends who don't know nothing about sex, you know, from television, from movies, from, you know, the media. And there's so much misinformation out there. If you provide your children with information and education about sexual health and sexual reproduction, it will equip them with the knowledge to make better decisions. And it's been proven time and time again that, you know, states and counties and cities that have great sex education programs have a lower rate of teen pregnancy. You know, so I think that communities need to do better on educating people about the responsibilities and the consequences of parenthood.
Definitely well said. Well said. Are you worried about who will take care of you when you're older? I think that's definitely a question.
Not at all. I will go take my happy ass to a senior living community and be like, where do I sign up? Y'all got nurses on deck 24/7, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Take it out of my Social Security, if we still have Social Security by that time.
I know, right?
But I'm not actually, me and my brother and I and a few of our friends were actually talking about, like, when we get older, like, kind of just all living in the same apartment complex or like the same like quadruplex
Uh-huh.
and like being there for each other. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like
Yeah.
building our own community to take care of each other. You know, and then too, I think that's not fair to your children to expect them like, oh, I'm gonna have kids so somebody can take care of me when I get old. Like that's great to have somebody to take care of you when you get old, but
Mhm.
they're trying to live their life too.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's like even if I were to have a kid, I wouldn't want to put that responsibility on them to take care of me in my old age because I want them to live their life to the best of their ability.
Right.
So I'm not, you know, that's why senior living communities exist. So I would just go find a nice little one by a beach somewhere and I would be set. I'll be
Absolutely.
good.
Especially when you mentioned, who's going to take care of you, get older, and they expect their children to. And it's like, you get a rude awakening when, God forbid, something happens to your child and they're not here.
Yes,
If they pass before you, then what you're going to do about that? Or let's say,
exactly.
if you have a falling out with your kid, because I know plenty of people who don't even like their parents, they hate their parents. So it's like,
Yes,
you get a rude awakening when they put you in a home because they don't freaking want to take care of you. And it's like,
exactly.
yeah, so that
Exactly.
it cracks me up when people just automatically assume my kids will take care of me. Well, you don't know what's gonna happen. So, but
Yeah.
okay, so this is the last question. So, and you kind of mentioned it already in the first question. So, what is the best part about being child free for you?
The freedom.
Hmm.
The freedom. Absolutely the freedom. I can do what I want, when I want, how I want to do it. I have the freedom to live where I want. I I I move like every other year just because I want to.
Hmm.
That might be the Sagittarius in me because I'm very free spirited and I'm very, want to see the world and I have the freedom to do that without having to think about, are there good schools in the area? Is this going to be a child, friendly environment? Like stuff like that. I'm free to uh you know, have I feel like more goals when it comes to my entrepreneurship and my life that I can pursue without having to take care of somebody else. The freedom to just lay around the house and not do anything if I want to, and not have screaming kids in the background running around the house. And like I see so many videos of parents on TikTok that are like, I can't even use the restroom
Hmm.
without my child
Hmm.
banging on the door or coming to sit right in front of me and look at me while I'm sitting on the toilet. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Hmm.
and it's just like, the freedom. I
Hmm.
just live such a free life. Um, and I don't take that for granted at all.
Hmm.
I'm very grateful for that every single day. I have a gratitude practice where I give gratitude for small things. You know what I mean? So that, just that being aware of the just a great situation that I have for myself. Being able to chase my dreams and being able to live where I want, and being able to do what I want and have what I want, and spending my money the way I want to. We're in a terrible economic situation right now as a country. And having to focus on childcare, paying for childcare is expensive. Groceries for a whole family is expensive. School enrollment is clothing for your kid. Like there's just so much that like I don't have to worry about, paying for outside of myself. So that's also a what's the word I'm looking for? Um I'm privileged in that way, I guess, to say that I can just spend my money how I want to. So
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, this has been such a great interview. I'm so happy that I reached out to you, and thank you for sharing your story and your life and your sobriety story and everything like that. I think it's so important, especially as Black women, to make sure that we can being child-free, we do have the privilege and the ability to put ourselves first right now. And I'm so happy that you're able to, get yourself well and get yourself together to where you can definitely live the best blessed life that you can. So I'm so happy I reached out to you, and thank you so much for your time. Is there anything that you want to promote at this time, or if there's any social medias that you want to give out so that people who are watching may want to reach out to you?
Yeah, definitely. You can follow me on Instagram at inkgirl666. I know that last part scares some people, but I promise you, it's just a number, I promise. That's my Instagram. You can reach out to me on there. I post, my tattoo work primarily. But I post snippets of my life and stuff like that on my story and everything like that. I'm on TikTok as well. I think it's _inkgirl666 or inkgirl666 _. I'm not on TikTok too much as far as posting content. I'm trying to be on there more, but social media is like a full-time job besides the tattoo stuff. And then I don't have a YouTube channel yet, but it's in the works. So I will be announcing it on my Instagram if you should decide to follow me. And then my tattoo shop, Black Moon Lilith Tattoo Studio, is here in Long Beach, California.
One of your amazing cats.
Yes, this is my child. I always tell people, I'm like, I have kids. These are my kids. But yeah, my tattoo studio is called Black Moon Lilith Tattoo Studio. And that's in Long Beach, California, downtown Long Beach, right near the beach. So if you want to come get some tattoos and hang out and everything, that's where I'll be at. So yeah.
Well, I'll definitely be in LA, hopefully next summer. I'm planning on hopefully going to Hawaii next summer, and one of the stops is going to go to LA first for a couple of days. So if I am in town, I definitely be reaching out to you to hang out maybe for a day. But Danielle, thank you so much again for your time. I truly appreciate it. I'll make sure I put all of your social medias in the description box so people can follow you, and if they have questions or anything like that, they can reach out. So I want to say, everybody who's watching, thank you guys so much for watching and tuning in. If you guys like this video, please give this video a thumbs up. If you'd like to be featured on my channel for a child-free interview, please send me an email at childfreeblackwoman@yahoo.com. So please like, comment, and subscribe to this channel. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll check you guys out in the next video. Bye, guys.